Hello and welcome to another episode of Not Too Deep. I'm your host, Grace Helbig. Very excited to finally have BRITTANY BROSKI on the podcast today. You probably know her as Kombucha Girl, but she's so much more than that. We talk about everything on this podcast. We talk about her foray into, college, her traditional path of going college into real adult job at an insurance company, to blowing up as a meme about eating ass on the internet, to getting fired because of said meme, but then meme also creating a new path of career and life. It's a wild Cinderella story, if you will. And she also has just some incredibly wise and thoughtful thoughts, for lack of a better word, about the world of social media, of influencer culture, about the rise of TikTok and where it's going to go in the future. And also an incredibly moving pants shitting story. So it's a little bit of everything in this podcast. Oh, speaking of, she's got a new podcast, Violating Community Guidelines, with her friend Sarah, that's also got way more information about all of the things on the internet that might have striked your fancy or caused you curiosity at some point in your lives. We talk about all of it. So please enjoy this episode of Not Too Deep with BRITTANY BROSKI. BRITTANY, it's so wonderful to talk to you. Also, hello, new extensions.
Hello, Miss Hair. She's not bald anymore.
How are they doing? How are you doing? You seem like a new person.
I have reinvented my personality. This is BRITTANY 2.0. You know something they don't tell you about sew-in extensions?
Oh, you got sew-in.
It feels like little needles in my head. I was trying to sleep last night. I was like, how?
Yeah. It's all of it is a wild experience. I've had extensions, but the tape in for so long, and they're like medical grade tape. And then when they start to get gummy, it's just this like wad of gum and glue.
I can't imagine something worse, actually.
Glamour. It's all glamour.
And beauty is pain. And it takes a lot of money to look this cheap.
Yes. And that's all you need to know about the beauty industry.
Yep.
BRITTANY, I want to talk about everything, but first, I kind of want to get more from you of like backstory. I'm curious about, you grew up in theater-ish?
Yeah. So I was doing theater in high school since probably I was like 14. Okay. Joined the improv troupe, little high school improv.
Oh, yes.
Continued that into college and then kind of gave it up when I was like, all right, no more funny business. I'm a businesswoman. And then now I fart online for money. So life is crazy.
It's a beautiful trajectory, really, for all artists out there. I feel like
it really is.
I'm curious what your thoughts are about theater communities. Do you miss it at all? Did it like kind of give you some wisdom and knowledge looking back?
Oh, it definitely did. You know what I do miss? I miss the community, like the camaraderie of being in a show all together.
Yeah.
And like the inside jokes and, you know, those short-lived but intense friendships.
Yeah.
And then carrying those into other shows. I do miss that. And I do miss like improv in the sense of working, especially now that everything's digital, you know, like being in person with someone and just bantering and bouncing off each other is just so like, wow.
Yeah.
I miss that. But I think I get my fix of what theater gave me. I get that now from social media.
Yeah. Were there any productions that stand out to you that you were a part of that were either incredible or absolutely terrible?
Oh, 100%. I would say majority terrible.
Yeah.
I was in Spamalot, Monty Python Spamalot.
Yeah.
The most fun ever. Like the most fun ever. The music is so stupid and good. And it's like set in medieval times. It was so much fun. I cross-dressed for all of it.
Amazing.
For some reason, my directors were always like, you would be good as either a 60-year-old woman or a man. It was never anything other than that. So that was fun. We did some, remember one-act plays?
Yes.
Like the competitions. Lost for a year.
I never did the competitions. What was that like? That seems intense.
It was a nationwide thing depending on like the tier of your school, how many kids go to your school or whatever.
Okay.
It was a nationwide competition for just little short 1-act plays. And it was just, you're asking a 14-year-old to be like, okay, you're freshly divorced. You have nothing left to give. Like, you're on the last thread of life. Go. It's like, I'm 14. I have homework due tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what algebra is.
I don't know what geometry is. Like, just give me a second. Like, that is probably, oh my God. I was just recently watching it back with my family and I was like, I'm so sorry I made y'all sit through this. I'll be supportive, but oh my God.
Yeah, that is crazy when you look back and you zoom out a little bit. You're like, this wasn't just about me. Like, my family had to experience.
Yeah, everyone suffered for me, and I appreciate that.
But you kind of went a traditional route in that. You went to college and got a degree.
Yeah. And
you got a degree in communications?
Yeah. I was a strategic comm major with a Spanish minor.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what happened after college?
So after college, my dream was to work at my absolute dream was to make Super Bowl commercials, like do the storyboard. Yeah. I wanted to like Geico commercials or, I think Geico really started that for me with like the cavemen and the gecko and all of that, like even like Flow from Progressive, where it's these iconic things that you remember. They impacted culture.
Yeah.
I wanted to storyboard those commercials for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
But obviously life doesn't work out that way. And so instead of going into that like creative marketing, I worked at an insurance brokerage. Okay. Because you got to pay bills.
Close to Geico. Insurance.
Close. Just wrong end of the spectrum of, what I wanted to do with insurance. So worked there. The most miserable experience of my life. Just awful. I worked in customer service and I was literally like on the headsets all day. I was like, thank you for calling to the insurance. How can I help you? And it was just people bitching at me. And I was 21. I had just graduated. So it was awful. And then I quit that job, started working at a bank. A little less miserable, but still miserable. Yeah. And then the kombucha video happened.
Yeah.
Got fired. And then life took off.
Talk to me about the kombucha video happens. Talking about changing culture, impacting society. Mm-hmm. How do you get fired after that? So
she brought me in. My boss brought me in to her office. She's like this Southern 59-year-old lady, doesn't even know what YouTube is. Or so I thought, because she's a damn liar. She brought me in. She was like, I see, what your face online. And it was tweets like me when I ate ass for the first time. She was like, is this? And I was like, that's not me. You have to understand that is not me. Like, that's how a meme works.
Yeah.
I create the content. They create the captions.
Yeah.
So she was just so confused and she saw it as a major liability to the company because this was a regional bank in North Texas. The next youngest employee after me was like 50.
Wow.
Like I was the youngest employee there. TikTok was not anything what it was today. This was summer of 2019. It was still Musical.ly basically at that point.
Yeah.
And she was just so confused by, what I was doing online. I was like, trust me, it's harmless. Like it's just a viral thing. It'll be gone in 2 months. And she decided, no, like this is a major liability. We're going to let you go. So I got fired because I was dicking around online.
I can imagine that she hears viral and thinks virus and thinks infection and this is going to ruin the company.
Yeah.
So what do you do from there? Like, how were you kind of like, I'm going to pursue internet stuff, digital, like content creation? Or were you kind of like, I got to figure out life and maybe this is a side thing?
Definitely the latter. I literally was like, well, I need to put in an application at Outback Steakhouse in the meantime while I'm applying for other corporate jobs. Because it was so humiliating having to call my parents and be like, I just got fired from my job at the bank. Like I was so embarrassed. I was crying. And because, I graduated college in 3 years. Like I've always been like the smart kid. It was just so humiliating because I was online. I got fired. Like that's so humiliating. And so I didn't even have time to put in an app at Outback Steakhouse because I got my first brand deal around that time. And then from there, it hasn't stopped. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, it has been a whirlwind nonstop. And I really haven't had any other thought other than, okay, this is my job now.
Yeah.
So,
you kind of have to take it on, decide to like
100%.
improv, say yes and to the situation.
I continue to do that.
I'm so interested because you said that you had an initial interest in like storyboarding commercials specifically for the Super Bowl. And then when brands approach you, having that kind of like brain already, it must be interesting how you approach brand deals. Is there like a system that you put in place? Are there certain brands that you like want to vet and like work with specifically? Like how do you manage that?
Well, I think it all goes kind of back to cancel culture.
Yeah.
And not even cancel culture, but just like the culture that we exist in, of people being hyper aware of the footprint that brands and companies leave on us and on the world. And there is a sensitivity to, like if I'm going to work with a clothing company and they're known for using child labor or whatever, that's going to be the top comment on that video. And I never thought about that, because it's like, oh, this company's offering me money. Hell yeah, we'll take it.
Right.
It's free money for me to make fart noises into the camera. But it's not that simple, because when you have an audience as large as we do, there's a responsibility that comes with that. If I am personally endorsing these brands, that's not just them handing me a check. I am using my trust that I've established with my followers to endorse this company that I sometimes know nothing about.
Yeah.
And so that was a learning curve for me, because it's money. It's no.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're pushing a product or a brand, it better be the right one. And so I have dream brands that I'd like to work with, but I've had some stumbles and falls, working with companies that ended up being less than optimal. And now it's on record, I'm endorsing them. So it's a strange thing. I never thought I'd have to think about it like that.
Yeah, but I think it's so important that you do think about it and that you are saying how important it is to think about, because it's one of those things where you can get thrown into it and you have to figure it out after a problem happens, or you can really understand that you're kind of this like a billboard. You're the PR person and the talent and the face of everything.
Just pouring myself out these brands.
Which is just so wild, because like the idea of content creator as like a professional job is, yes, you're creating fun content here and there, but the way you actually make a living doing it is primarily working with brands. So this is like such a major part of the actual content creator job to keep it
100%.
going. And you just have to become more and more kind of like scrutinizing of like yourself and your value versus what this brand's value is.
Yeah. Do you ever like look at major like A-list celebrities and think, I wonder how much they got paid, or do they really actually care about this product? Because now I think about it like that.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I think I guess my assumption before was always that celebrities kind of had these people wrangling them into these situations. And so they had many more brains and eyes to consider what this opportunity is, where a lot of content creators, it's really on them unless 100%. They build out a team around them, which is, a difficult thing to do. And so, I still look at celebrities. I feel like celebrities, because of influencer culture, are forced to operate as individuals more than like, this walking doll that gets positioned everywhere.
Sure. Yeah, it's and especially now with, the state of Instagram and TikTok and all that, like celebs are so accessible, almost to like a scary degree.
Yeah.
You should not be able to tweet Gwyneth Paltrow. Why did you make a candle that smells like your vagina?
It blows my mind that there's access to everyone everywhere all the time. If I get too high at night, I get really freaked out about all of that. And I have to
very true.
Like a doomsday prepper, like turn off all my devices and not really think about it too much.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also curious about you and Sarah. You guys met through social media.
Yeah. So Sarah and I are cousins.
You're
wink, wink.
Okay. I don't know how to
bit.
interpret that. Yeah. Like,
that is like not a signal that I'm picking up on here.
like that made it more complicated for me to understand.
You lost me. No, so we met on Twitter. Well, I had been a fan of her for forever because I followed her on Vine.
Yeah.
And then I knew she made YouTube videos, and I tweeted after I got fired and I was accumulating there was one day in August of 2019 where I gained 93,000 Twitter followers in one day, like in a 24-hour period.
Oh, that's overwhelming.
It was like I had no fucking idea what was happening, and I was just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah.
I got fired, started making money online, and then my lease was up in Texas, and I was like, man, do I just bite the bullet and just do it and just move to LA? And so I tweeted, I was like, let's say hypothetically I moved to LA, who would anyone want to be my roommate? Sarah tweets, me. And so we start DMing, and I'm like, you want like a 2-bedroom? She's like, yeah. I'm like, do you have any pets? She's like, I have a cat. I'm like, well, I'm allergic, but we can make it work. We're just going back and forth. And so soon enough, she flies out to LA, starts touring places. We sign a place. I meet her for the first time ever in person the day we move in.
Wow.
And it has been fantastic. I mean, it was such I think the universe provides sort of thing. But the first video we ever made together on YouTube, we started this bit that we're cousins. And people still to this day are like, when you see people arguing in your comment section,
yes,
it'll be like, well, they're cousins. It makes sense. Like something. Well, they are cousins. And I'm like, no, exactly.
I love it. Keep the mythology alive.
It is.
People want to believe it.
Broski lore.
No, you guys have recently created a podcast together. Yeah. So for people that don't know, what's the concept behind it?
So because Sarah and I are children of the internet, for better or worse, we realized that that's such a niche experience for a lot of people, growing up with the internet raising us. Like, there are so many things that I have seen in my life that my parents know nothing about, and because I've been online. Yeah. Things I've been exposed to, like things I've, media that kind of raised me. And Sarah has the same experience. Yeah. And so we were like, we want to do a podcast. There's kind of the demand for it. And what would be the concept? And so it's exploring these little micro trends or throwbacks from the internet. Not so much like, hey guys, 2006, remember this, the beginning of YouTube. It's more like, do you remember that weird fucking thing that went viral in 2012? Like, what happened to that? So it's that. It's educational, but it's also riffing and it's banter. Like, it's a comedy podcast above all else, because the internet is so ridiculous. Absolutely. So it's called Violating Community Guidelines. Very fitting.
Perfect.
And it's all about internet stuff. We talk about furries, fan fiction. We've got one coming out about being horny online. Oh. Like just people being unabashedly horny.
I feel like that's, a whole podcast in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. Truly.
Has there been anything that you've just that stands out to you that you've discovered? And you guys talk about conspiracy theories, the furry community, anything that you've learned that you didn't really understand before?
I do have a newfound appreciation for the furry community. Yeah. People already think I'm a furry because I'm like, okay, some Pixar characters are really hot. And I'm not the only one to say that. Like, you guys are lying. People are like, just say it, you're a furry. I'm like, okay, I will. That was it, to realize actually how much of a community it is worldwide. Yeah. It was kind of like, oh, you know what I mean? Because I have belonged to so many different fandoms and groups online, and to realize that that's just another one, and there's this weird stigma around it. I was like, period. Furries are just living their best lives, and we just judge them for no reason.
They just found a place of acceptance, and we're like, no,
not here.
Yeah, you guys shouldn't be able to express the things you find the most joy within.
How dare you?
Absolutely not. How I'm curious too, I guess with the podcast, you probably have more of a chance to just kind of uneditedly talk about things, discuss things. How is that experience versus, making content on other platforms?
You know what? It's freeing in the sense that we can just have a conversation, and people can see it, segue from, okay, they were talking about this and now they're talking about, and it's just a conversation. And that format is acceptable.
Yeah.
Versus on YouTube, even on TikTok, I feel like it has to be hit, joke, and then you're done.
Yeah.
It's so much more freeing to just be able to talk with like one of my closest friends about things that we both go through, how it affects society, how it affects us as women, things like that. It's just so nice.
Yeah.
But there is that fear that, online, we know that people don't understand nuance. So we have our editor cut out some stuff that's like, that could be interpreted so, polar opposite of how we meant it.
Yeah.
Just take it out. Like, it's scary because people could take that clip and you're done. You're done.
Yeah, it is becoming like a forefront consideration now that you have to really imagine how the audience sees you.
We have to think 5 steps ahead.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you guys get to like be fully formed people with fully thought out ideas that aren't just, jump cut, use this editing tool.
Right.
But at the same time, you're like, now they hear all my ideas.
I'm like, oh shit, I'm speaking freely. This is scary.
Maybe censorship is the good thing. I don't know. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, I'm so curious your kind of experience with TikTok and just general kind of thoughts about that platform. So we're going to talk about that when we get back.
Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
Great. We're back in. Now, you were on TikTok before, like you said, when it was more of a Musical.ly thing. And then it's now, pandemic, etc., become like the platform. I'm curious what your experience has been just watching it kind of morph and change and grow and get like infiltrated with people.
Yeah, I can talk about this for a long time. I think TikTok's humble beginnings as this sort of like strange cosplay platform for people who were like acting, but also just horny teens who were residuals from Musical.ly.
Yeah.
To watch it go from that to TikTok influences culture. I mean, isn't that their slogan? Like, we make culture or something like that?
Probably. Sounds like it.
It's very true. I mean, it's hard to think about a time where the top 40, Billboard top 40 wasn't all TikTok songs. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, it has completely changed life.
Yeah.
How we, view celebrities, how we view entertainment, how we view money and creators making money online, brands online. I mean, it's just changed everything. And the music industry as well. Like, labels now have a budget aside for like, okay, we're going to promote that on TikTok.
Wow.
Like, it's a TikTok budget. Yeah. So it's just insane. I think I feel very, very fortunate to be a part of the story of TikTok.
Yeah.
Because when the kombucha video went viral, I uploaded it to TikTok. So it was watermarked with the TikTok logo. So it was circulating on all these platforms and people were like, what is that logo? Yeah. And it was TikTok. And so when articles would write about the phenomenon and all that, they'd be like, uploaded to TikTok. And people are like, what the fuck is that? So and TikTok acknowledges it too. And I feel very blessed because they're like, you're a part of the history of it. So, other than that, I feel like today it is so, humbling to watch like major celebrities like Reese Witherspoon get on TikTok and try to like, what are we doing on here? Dr. Phil, you're calling me daddy in the comments. It's like, what the fuck is Dr. Phil on TikTok? We don't need it. Who's asking for it?
I mean, that's what I'm so curious about because I mean, you've been a part of it and also a bystander watching it grow and morph and change. Yeah. Like, what's your, I guess, method or strategy or way in which you use TikTok now? Do you change the content that you upload? Do you think about what you're going to do differently, or do you just kind of do you and then let everyone figure it out?
Yeah, TikTok is always, the minute I start thinking of TikTok as like a serious thing, it's not going to be fun anymore.
Yeah.
There came a time, as it comes with every creator, I'm sure you can attest to it too, of when numbers become more important than the content.
Yeah.
And so there came a point in time where I was like, would this hit 1 million views in 24 hours? Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Why am I thinking about it like that? Like, and it still is in the back of my mind constantly, because how can it not be? You know, when we view our existences now as numbers.
Yeah.
And so I think about it more as like, I'm posting these for me.
Yeah.
And I have 2 accounts, and my main account, you know, I sometimes get hung up on numbers still to this day, and I try not to, but on my spam account, I'll post 40 videos in an hour, and I don't give a fuck how they do, because it's my brain, and I have to get it out.
Yeah.
And those do better than the ones on my main account. And so it's like, it's all just, you can't predict it.
Right.
No one knows what's going on. You can act like you do, but no one really does.
I agree.
So, yeah. It's just a matter of, are you having fun?
It really, I know. And that sounds so cliche to say, but it's something I really resonate with, because it does become, it's hard to balance the idea that this is your job and it's also the means in which you have fun expressing yourself. And to reconcile those two things constantly is very difficult, because they're very much at odds with each other. So
constantly, all the time. There is not like, oh my God. And especially making branded content, you know, where it's like, be yourself, but for our brand.
Yeah. But it's going to say paid advertisement. But just like be, you know, what you would do.
Right. Keep it organic. What the fuck does that mean?
I'm also curious too, because you've kind of, you know, like fallen forward into this content creator world. Were there any surprises or interesting things to you about getting to know content creators, seeing more like the behind the scenes kind of stuff about everything versus, you know, being raised by all of it?
Yeah. You want to know what was the biggest, like, I was like, ew, it kind of like left a bad taste in my mouth? Is
of course I do.
How collabs work. A lot of the times, like, I didn't realize when you see collabs on YouTube, that's the first time they're ever meeting in person. I've been offered to do collabs, and that's it. It's like, you're going to go over to blah, blah, blah's house. Like, their assistant's going to get you from the parking garage. Like, we're going to, what the fuck are we talking about? That is so cringy. And I never thought about it like that when I was only a viewer, you know, like a spectator. I was like, oh, you know, here's a celebrity and a celebrity, and they're just, you know, whatever. They have to be friends. No, girl. And it's just very awkward. I've met a lot of people where I'm like, you are so not personable. How do you have a career?
I know, that's like the years of VidCon were always very, a lot going on, a lot of seeing things that met or didn't meet expectations, or like preconceived notions of things. And yeah, that was kind of, for me, the harder thing of watching the industry of it develop. And because in the beginning, it was like, maybe we were meeting for the first time doing a collab, but we have been communicating for a while. No one had assistance. No one's paying each other anything. Everyone's just like, of good graces going over and being like, I like you and what you do, and if you like me, let's make something together. It's very
it was a much more innocent you know, like nature of content creator relations, and I feel like even 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, totally. So you and James Charles are good friends then.
The best of friends.
That's my assumption.
Period.
Are there any people that you haven't collaborated with yet that are on like your short list, or is that something you don't really think about often?
No, Rhett and Link, let me on Go Mythical Morning now or else. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, I feel like that should have happened years ago.
I know, right?
At least.
I love that. I grew up watching them. I just love them so much. And they are such role models for, you know, how to create a career from this shit and create a career. a live tour, music, book. They're on Jimmy Fallon. They have so many like side projects. They've done it so perfectly.
I agree. They're inspiring in their ability to stay authentic to themselves, humble and hardworking, and just very thoughtful about everything they do.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Them for sure. Emma Chamberlain. I love Emma Chamberlain. I would love to collab with her, but I know she's very particular about that sort of thing. So none taken.
In an alternate universe, could you ever see yourself as a social media manager?
Absolutely not. When you think about, like, by and large, how insufferable a lot of creators are, I couldn't do it. I couldn't have them be like, my car didn't come on time. My Postmates is shut up, dude. I think about some of the stuff I complain about, and I'm like, oh my, just kill me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, if I ever sound ungrateful, just kill me.
I love your humility so much. Okay. Now I'm going to get into the 2 questions I ask every single guest that is on the podcast. The first is, who, alive or dead, would you most like to throw cold spaghetti at?
Throw cold spaghetti at? Okay, so that's a great question, because that's like, you don't want to cause them physical harm.
It's entirely your intention, I will say. You can throw it with whatever emotion it feels appropriate to you. And also, that to me, this is an answer that changes all the time. It's not necessarily the one set in stone person. It might be just who comes to mind in this moment.
All I'm thinking about is Sean Evans from Hot Ones.
Yeah, that would be good.
And that I don't mean it as like a Sean Evans, I don't like you. I mean it as like, I would love to see Sean. I want to sit across from him at the Hot Ones table, throw cold spaghetti at him, and see him try to like reroute the interview. You know what I mean? Like, he is so good. I want to like throw him a curveball and have him be like, all right, well, as a lover of cold spaghetti, when you were 11 years old, what did you like? He's so good.
His brain
final
works
answer is Sean Evans.
In a beautiful way. I would love to see that, to be very honest. So I think it could happen. The other question that I ask every single guest is to tell us your worst pants shitting story, or like a bathroom emergency situation, but you can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases to describe the event.
I can't tell the actual story. Okay, this is
you
good.
can. It's entirely up to you. If you'd like to, after giving us like the 3 little situations, you're more than welcome to elaborate, but I never want anyone to feel uncomfortable.
Okay. The short version is gas station, Talkies, I-35.
Oh, okay. I mean,
that's short.
That does tell a lot, but I would love to hear the elaboration if you'd like to.
So, I was on a road trip from visiting a friend down in Houston, Austin, something. I was driving back to Dallas.
Okay.
And I had just gotten to Dallas, because it's like I-45 and then it's I-35. And I-35 is just a big spaghetti bowl of roads. Yeah. It's so confusing. All I had to eat that day was Takis, Red Bull, and a Coke Zero.
Oh, God.
My stomach was gurgling and burbling. And I had been driving for like 4 hours, and it hit. You know, like when the diarrhea hits?
Oh,
like, it was there.
Mm-hmm.
I did not make it in time. And a little doo-doo came out in my pants, pulled over at a Shell station, and just went to town in the bathroom. And it was just, I mean, you know, it's like, do I throw my underwear away, or do I just like make it? I was probably 12 minutes from my house. I was like, I couldn't have waited. Dude, I lasted 4 hours. I couldn't have waited 12 more minutes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sharded bad.
It is, to me, in those moments, really miraculous the way the human brain starts to problem solve and starts to like, it blows my mind of like I could never be MacGyver, because the way my brain problem solves in those situations is like, do I do like a challenge like they do on Drag Race, where I'm now making toilet paper rolls into new pants to walk out of this gas station?
Am I fastening the toilet paper lid seat?
Yeah, exactly.
Into makeshift underwear. Yeah.
And how do I pay them as I walk out the door?
How do you say sorry without saying sorry?
Oh gosh. You're also really close with tons of drag queens. How did this happen?
You know, it's the hag effect. I don't know. It's literally, I cannot describe it. Like, it's the Michelle Visage effect. Since middle school, I have always been the closest with gay men. It's just something, I think maybe because I'm just so unapologetically, whoever I am, whatever comes out, I don't apologize for it. And I think that that's very attractive for someone who has been told that their existence is not wanted and, not normal and So to see someone kind of living at 100% capacity all the time.
Yeah.
I think that I've always just been attracted to the LGBTQ community and, they find a form of comfort and escapism in me and my content. So it's a blessing, honestly, because the love that I get from that community I feel so accepted, and I can only hope to provide that for them too. So I honestly don't know. It kind of happened organically. I've been a fan of Drag Race for forever. Sarah and I did a video on my channel of us recreating Trixie and Katya makeup. Just god awful. Just like borderline hate crime. And Trixie saw it because we tagged them in it, thinking that they wouldn't. Trixie saw it, invited us over to her house. We filmed the video. I think it's sitting at like 9 million views now or something stupid like that. And from there, it just kind of became this staple where everyone was like, oh, you're Trixie's, whatever. And then I work with Wow Presents now.
Oh, so
like
cool.
the production company that puts on Drag Race. I mean, it's just wild. So
cool.
I think it was bound to happen. And I'm just every day, I'm like, I can't believe it's real.
What are your thoughts on the current season?
I do love Bosco.
Yeah. Those eyebrows.
I do love Bosco. Yes. And I think Willow Pill is she's gonna, I don't know. She's got some tricks up her sleeve. I have not seen the most recent 2 episodes, I don't think. So I need to catch up.
I might be one behind, but I'm with you. I think Willow Pill surprises me. I really didn't expect for them to be such a beautiful little weirdo. I
know, right? And Rue loves those, the ones that push the boundaries of drag and what drag can be.
Yeah. It's always so interesting that you can see in the beginning of a season, like who Rue obviously has like a deep affection for it. They're like, this
100%.
feels now a little biased, but okay.
Yeah, like this don't really feel fair, but it's your show, I guess. You can do what you want.
It's your empire.
Not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Okay, now we're going to get into a section called Deep and Hot, where I'm going to ask you a deep question that we have prepared for you, and then ask you for a hot take on kind of like a topic that we have prepared for you.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
Absolutely no wrong answers. Okay, deep question is happiness the goal?
No, it's not.
Why is that?
Because if you set happiness as your goal, you're constantly going to be disappointed and you're going to feel like a failure.
Wow.
Because I don't think the purpose of life is to be happy. I think that is a byproduct if you're lucky. Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a very cool answer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you strive your whole life to just seek happiness, so many things are left in the wayside, and I think the balanced human experience is to experience. That's what makes us human is sorrow and depression and anger and happiness and joy. And I mean, it's just like that is what separates us from every other sentient being. So I think, that's a great question. I
love that answer. Especially in the whirlwind of so much self-help information being touted online. Sometimes just wears me down. And
do you feel that way too? It's like a toxic positivity.
Yeah, it's it's frustrating sometimes. I don't know what the right answer is because some people might genuinely be living great lives following these kind of ways of thinking and lifestyle choices. Doesn't work for me because I'm with you in the sense that I feel like feeling everything is part of existing. And to strive for only one feeling versus the rest feels a bit inauthentic, I guess.
Right. And when it's also like, if you're happy all the time, you sometimes forget how happy you are, because if that's your new normal,
right.
I just to make it kind of personal, you know, I never could have appreciated what I do now and the friends I have now and just what I get to do as my career if I had graduated college and immediately started doing this. Like, I am so thankful for the period in my life where I worked a 9 to 5 and I was fucking miserable. Like, I hated my life. To have that as a point of reference to now, it just like, it emphasizes those emotions even more. Just like, I am so grateful and I'm so joyous.
Yeah.
So I think you need it all.
Absolutely. It's very grounding to have that perspective. Okay. Hot take for you. Kind of touched on it a little bit already. I guess just what you think or imagine, if you have any of these thoughts about the future of TikTok. I mean, it's hard to have predicted any of where it's grown or how it's changed. But if you have any thoughts on the future.
Future of TikTok. Okay, well, I thought maybe this is a hot take. I think TikTok has staying power the way that, you know, YouTube does.
Yeah.
Especially as they listen to the audience and make adjustments to the app accordingly. You know, like the 3-minute feature came out and we were like, fuck yeah. The text to speech feature, captions, they're making it more accessible every day and more user friendly every day, and more, you know, as a creator, seeing all the new effects and features is cool. It's like more tools to create with. I do think it has staying power, but that's only if they continue on that trajectory. Whatever Snapchat has done, like, remember Snapchat from 5-6 years ago?
Vaguely. I didn't just get into it.
Yeah, you weren't missing much. It literally was just sending pictures back and forth to your friends and like being able to message them.
Yeah.
Now there's like reality shows on Snapchat. You can see the news on Snapchat. There's like a geolocation feature. There's a Memoji, Bitmoji, I just don't fucking know, dude. I open Snapchat and I'm like, what is this? If TikTok does that, it's over. Yeah. People are going to lose interest because you're overloading them with fun. No, girl. No.
I think that's a beautiful hot take. I love that. We've gotten towards the very end of the podcast, which is wild. Because I feel like I've just scratched the surface of getting into your brain about everything.
We could talk for hours.
I know, truly. Thank you for all this wise words, information, and life story. Before we wrap up completely, we like to give our guests a little token of our appreciation for being here. And that is a personalized horoscope from us to you. But we're not astrologers at all. So take it with a grain of salt.
You could just be like, I read an article one time, and I'd be like, tell me now.
Melissa put it in the chat for you if you'd like to read it.
You're a Taurus, full of the stars, period. Refer to me as that when I enter a room. Brittany Tomlinson, full of the stars, first of her name.
Welcome to the stage.
Welcome to the stage, full of the stars. The sun enters Pisces and your social zone on Friday. I'm probably going to start my period. So expect to be busy with friends and socializing for the next month, period. If that sounds exhausting, just know it's your own damn fault. So y'all type this.
Maybe. We're not astrologers. We let the stars inform what we want to.
I'm a vessel.
Yeah.
Yes. Grace is a vessel. The universe speaks through her.
That's all it is. That's how it's been my whole life.
Thank God.
Brittany, thank you so much for making time and having this chat.
I love you, bitch. I have always loved you. This is such an honor.
I'm so excited that you were able to do this. For people that don't know, where can they find you, follow you, listen to the podcast, etc.?
So first and foremost, our podcast is called Violating Community Guidelines. It is everywhere you get your podcast, and we also upload on YouTube. So go watch it on YouTube because that counts as a download for me. So thank you guys so much. And then you can find me on Brittany_Broski. Brittany spelled the English way, and Broski like broski. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
For audio listeners, I just dabbed myself up.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Brittany. This has been so fun.
Thank you, guys.
Of course. And we'll see you guys next time on another episode of Not Too Deep. Goodbye.
Too deep, too deep, too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Not Too Deep is a production of Grace Helbig Incorporated, producer Melissa D. Montz, edited by Shireen Lani Yunus, post-production sound by Chris Henry, and an extra special thanks to Flula for the theme music.